Hey, it's Lauren. Today I am bringing you one of my favorite type of reviews, and that is because we are talking about Lisa Eldridge products, and more importantly, her newly launched eyeshadow palette. I picked up the shade Cinnabar. So let me show you this beautiful palette. Like all Lisa products, it is gilded in gold. It is gorgeous. And here you can see variety of shades. So beautiful. So there's a variety of textures and finishes on this. I also want to note the size of this. It is demure. It is not an enormous palette, which is partially why I love it. I don't love enormous palettes. They stress me out. I like the fact that this literally fits like almost in my palm, okay? It's not an enormous palette. So there are 6 shades in these. There are several different color stories that launched. So for Cinnabar, it is more like a warm, neutral type palette. And oddly enough, I've just noticed over the years, I had ended up like purging a lot of palettes and gifting them to people if I just wasn't using them and that sort of thing. And the other day, I looked in my kit and I was like, I don't have like a simple, warm, neutral palette. So I was really torn between picking up Cinnabar and the palette Muse. Muse is more of a pink skewing mauve type palette, where Cinnabar is much more like copper and gold and brown. And given my hair and my eye color, I thought, I think Cinnabar is going to work really great. And then I also saw Lisa applying it and I was like, okay, that's the one. So let me go ahead and get these swatched on my arm and I will run through the kind of different finishes and the names of the shadows themselves. All right, I've got all of these swatched. Let's go ahead and run through names. So this is Raw Sienna, and this is described as a seamless matte. This is Bronzite, which is a metallic. This is Fired Earth, which is a seamless matte. This is Lost Summer, which is also a metallic like Bronzite. This is Deep Ochre, which is a velvet. And this is Ritual, which is kind of hard to see in my lighting, but it is a top coat and it's more of like a shimmer particle. These are just so beautiful, and can I just say, so pigmented. Like I barely have to dip into it to get a really rich color payoff. Don't mind the fact that I made a boo-boo. Okay, so let's start applying this to my eyes. And I almost want to challenge myself to use all 6 shades. We'll see how it goes. Let me also just show you, because I noticed this yesterday. These are very long wearing. I wore this yesterday on my eyes and I didn't have any like creasing issues. And the other thing worth noting about this palette is that there is minimal kickback when you are getting some powder on the brush. The texture of these, the way that they feel, there's almost like a slight plushness and give. You can kind of see where my finger pushed into that. They have like they almost remind me of like the ColourPop Super Shock shadows that have almost like a little bounce to them, but not quite. Maybe a little closer to the Isamaya palette that I got recently. So let's build up an eye look, okay? I don't know quite what I'm doing with this yet. You know what I'm gonna do? Okay, I'm gonna run you through it. We're gonna do this one, Bronzite, kind of on this inner corner. We're gonna go in with Lost Summer a little bit on the outside. I'm gonna take a little bit of Raw Sienna and put that in the crease, and then I'm gonna follow that up with some Deep Ochre. I'm gonna use Fired Earth, which is the really dark one, as like my liner, and then I'm gonna use Ritual as a topper. That's what we're doing. Okay, let's run through. So I've already prepped my face today because I'm gonna actually show you while I'm tapping in here. We are gonna go sledding. We got a lot of snow last night and yesterday, and so my little kiddo really wants to get out. So I prepped my skin. I kind of did my base of like SPF. I have a tinted SPF from Coats that I really like, and I layered that on top of my Live Tinted SPF because snow is reflective and I don't want to get sunburned. So, okay, so this is Bronzite. Okay, And then I'm going to follow that up on my other eye. I love that there's no fallout with this, which I think is pretty spectacular. Obviously, when you are paying as much as you are for this type of product, it's $68. It's not a cheap palette. When you are paying this much for a palette, you hope that there's not like some crazy dusty kickback, okay? That's like kind of almost a given. You have to have a really high quality shadow for that price point, in my opinion. All right, now I'm gonna go in with Lost Summer, which is more of this kind of rosy copper shade. We'll kind of follow up on this outer edge here, merge the two together. I have to say, part of the reason why I was so torn between which shades to get was because I feel like sometimes the swatches and the photos of her palettes and stuff online, sometimes also with the lipsticks, look different in person than they do on her online photos. Very pretty, very soft transition. You've got more of that golden copper here and then that rose gold kind of shade over here. But that seemed to be kind of a complaint that I saw other people make as well. And I just know from buying her lipsticks, sometimes they look a bit different in person than what I see online. And honestly, that happens with a lot of brands. It's not just Lisa Eldridge, but I do feel like whatever they're doing with their studio lights can kind of shift the way that her products look compared to how they are in real life. That is so pretty. Okay, obviously like matte blended. Now I'm gonna go in with, what is that shade? What are you? Raw Sienna. Love this shade. Great, simple transitional shade. It's a matte, and you can see there's not like a ton of fallout happening there, which is fabulous. So now I'm going to take that above both of the shades that I've already laid down. I'm using a slightly larger brush to have sort of soft blending effect. So gorgeous. Why is this stuff so good? My gosh, Lisa Eldridge just makes some of the most lovely products. And I think that, you know, part of that comes from being a makeup artist who has studied a lot of formulas and products through the decades. I mean, she is an avid makeup collector and she knows formulas very well. Look at that. That is like so low effort for applying, but it looks like I spent so much time on it. If you are wondering what kind of eyeshadow brushes this and the other slightly smaller one are, these are from the brand Credo. They are a Japanese brush and I absolutely love them. All right, now that we've got that on, super gorgeous, super easy. I'm gonna take a slightly smaller pointed sort of dome brush. This is a Chikuhodo, I think it's the something 27. I'm so sorry, I cannot remember off the top of my head. But now I'm going to dip into Deep Ochre, which is the Velvet shade. Again, really not a lot of kickback, not a lot of fallout. It's just fabulous. Okay, so I'm going to take this kind of on this outer edge to lift my eye a bit. And I think this is described as a velvet, and I think it's because there is a very subtle sheen almost in comparison to Raw Sienna, but it's not a shimmer. It has like a warm glow. I mean, I'm wearing velvet today, so like you can kind of see like the comparison there. I'm going to build that up just a little bit more. These are very buildable shadows too, by the way. So like I'm using a brush, which is a much softer effect than like when I swatched on my arm and you could see it was like a very rich metallic. I might actually, just for fun, pop some of that either Bronzite or Lost Summer on with my finger, just so you can see how using your fingers compared to the brush really kicks up the metallic pigmentation. These are super, super easy to work with though. I'm really happy with how this formula goes on. It's just very comfortable to work with. You know how sometimes with eyeshadows you can start applying them and then all of a sudden it's like a big blotch and you like can't blend it out? That's not the issue with these. These are really just soft and super easy to work with. Okay, so I'm going to take whatever is left on my brush and just lightly feather across the top here. I'll do the same on this eye. Really lovely formula. Okay, now I'm going to, just for fun, show you, I think what I'll do is do bronzite, and I'll just put a little bit on my finger and show you comparatively. So this is bronzite right here. That's what it looks like with a brush. And then when you go back in with your finger, it really kicks up that metallic effect. So look at this eye compared to this eye. You have some room to play here and kind of shift those pigments. It's really a fun formula. Beautiful though. Okay, now I'm going to get a smaller liner brush, and then we're going to use Fired Earth as like our eyeliner today, and then I'll top it off with some Ritual. I don't know how I have done this, but I have crammed 6 shadows into one look. I'm really proud of myself because I don't normally do that. All right, I'm back. I've got my little liner brush, so I'm going to dip that into the shade Fired Earth. Super, super lovely. I'm going to shake that off just a little bit so we don't have any stray particles. And like I said, I'm going to use this as a liner, so I'm going to come in really close to my lashes. I love using a powder eyeshadow as a liner because it's a very soft look. So say you are someone who doesn't feel super confident in your liner abilities, you feel like you kind of get it all over the place, or you struggle to get it really close to the lash line. Using a brush and dipping into a really nice dark eyeshadow is such a great way to add more definition to your eyes without being really complicated or fussy. And it also cuts down on products. So you've got like one palette that you can use without needing an extra liner. Obviously it's not going to be as dark, but still very beautiful. Adds some definition. Kind of enhances the whole like smoky eye. This is kind of like a bronze daytime smoky eye, is like if I had to describe what we're doing right now. Look at the color. Oh, it's so good. So good. I feel like over the years, and maybe, you know, it's because of how the world has been the past few years, but a lot of people got out of the habit of using palettes. And I think a lot of us, myself included here, are kind of dipping back into that world because things are kind of coming alive again. We're going to social events, we're doing fun things again. And there have been a few palette launches, this one and the Isamaya in particular, that have actually made me come out of my like palette hibernation. And I actually have been enjoying playing with them and having some very variety and versatility with my eye looks rather than just doing a single shadow or a liquid shadow. Super easy though, super lovely. I'm going to take just a little bit, I'm going to kind of dust this off on my hand, and I'm going to take a little bit of that velvet shade, the deep ochre, and I'm going to put that under my eyes as a liner. And I like doing this where I take the darker shade on the top and then the lighter underneath, because I feel like that really helps to keep my eyes very open, and it adds some variety and dimension. So I'm just kind of tapping this in between my lower lashes. Lightly run that in there. And you can see the difference from this eye to this eye. It's very soft, very subtle. It is not a like eyeshadow or liner look that's going to scream at you, but it does add just that extra little pop of definition without being super dark and heavy. Okay, do a little more right there. All right, soften that out just a titch. All right, and the final thing that we're going to do is apply Ritual over top, which is that gorgeous, soft, subtle shimmer. This is what we've got right now. I absolutely love this palette. I think that if you are looking to come out of palette hibernation, this is an excellent choice. I think especially because these tones are very soft and easy to wear. I think especially if you're looking for a warm palette, a warm neutral with some coppers and bronzes, and it's just a really lovely palette. All right, final thing, I'm gonna use my finger for this. I tend to like using my finger because, again, you're going to get a bit more pigmentation and payoff. So I'm gonna dab this. This is just as a little light reflect. You can see just a little extra subtle shimmer, very pretty. I'm gonna actually go in a little heavier. I think if you're someone who is a little glitter shy, this is an excellent formula for that because it's very soft. It's not like a giant chunky glitter. It really just softly elevates and kicks up whatever is underneath. Even on its own, it's really beautiful. Before we move into lips, which I did pick up another Velvet Matte lipstick. I love her formula. I'm going to apply a little bit of mascara and then we will come back and apply the lip color and then I'm going sledding. All right, mascara is on and I went for a mascara today that I felt like would define my lashes without completely covering up my eyeshadow look, just because a lot of times when I put on a mascara, it just makes my eyelashes so enormous that you can't always tell what's going on behind my lashes. So I went with Clinique's High Impact Zero Gravity Mascara. The reason why is because this is a tubing mascara, so it's gonna hold up through my winter adventures outside today. So the shade that I got this time is Velvet Enchantment, which is this beautiful kind of muted red shade. So let me swatch this on my arm and show you a comparison between this and two of the other Leafs Eldridge Velvet Mattes that I have. So I'm gonna put Velvet Enchantment on the top. So it's this beautiful sort of muted red. It's not a deep flat red though, which I really appreciate. Let me show you in contrast with Velvet Ribbon, which is much more va-va-voom, much more vibrant and in your face in comparison. And then I will also show Velvet Blush Lightly, which is sort of a muted pinky mauve kind of shade. Okay, so Velvet Enchantment, Velvet Ribbon, Velvet Blush Lightly. And so I absolutely love her formula. I think they're beautiful. The one thing I was mentioning earlier about how sometimes I feel like her swatches look a bit different online than they do in person. I say that because of Velvet Blush Lightly. I felt like online when I looked at Velvet Blush Lightly, it looked lighter in person. And then when I have it on, it looks quite a bit deeper on me. So, you know, but I'm not mad about it. I like this color a lot. It's just a bit different than what I thought it would be. So I'm gonna go ahead and wipe these off. Come off, come off. They are very long lasting, which is why they're so lovely. They stay on forever. I had Velvet Ribbon on before, like for a party, and it stayed on the entire party through eating and drinking and talking. And people were like, gosh, your lipstick is so beautiful. I was like, thank you, it's Lisa Eldridge. Okay, so for Velvet Enchantment today, I am going to apply this to my lips, and then I will blot, and then I'm gonna use a lip brush for this second coat. These are just so beautiful. You don't even have to use a lip liner. You certainly can. Right, so that is straight from the bullet. It is a muted red, but it is not flat or gray tinged. It still has a vibrancy to it, which I really like. Let me blot this. Doing a nice healthy blot there. And I'm also Going to kind of push in on those corners just so nothing is pooling at the corners of my lips. Can't stand when that happens. And then I'm going to take a little lip brush. Lip brushes are so underrated, I feel like, when it comes to applying lipstick, at least for like the everyday woman. Lip brushes really can kind of work that product into your lip better than just straight from the bullet. And you can really create a nice edge. I always feel like when I apply with a lip brush, my lipstick lasts way longer. You'll notice I kind of went like that. And the reason is to kind of push where that lip seam is between the inside of your mouth and the outside of your lips. I always end up with that like ring around my lips and I can't stand it. So kind of making this like awkward face pushes that little bit of your lips out a bit more. So you can get a good coat on there. The color is so beautiful. Adds some life to my face, kind of brings things awake a bit. Let me blot a little bit more. So beautiful. I love Lisa Eldridge makeup so much. Oh, I forgot something else. The palette, she sells refills. So say you run out of your favorite shade from your curated palette, you can refill it, which is just brilliant. And that way you're not wasting this beautiful compact when you run out of shades. As of right now, of the initial launch, there are not empty palettes that you can fill on your own. You do have to buy one of the pre-curated palettes and then you can refill from there. But I love that there is the option for refills, because so often you'll have a beautiful palette or compact like this and then you can't do anything with it when you're done or you run out of a shade. So I love that there is that option, and hopefully in the future we see her launch an empty palette that people can create custom palettes for themselves. I think especially for the price point, people really want to see that. So anyway, lipsticks are $36. I got you. Okay, that's it. I've got to get out and go sledding with my kiddo. I hope that you have enjoyed this video. I hope that it's been helpful. If it has, please make sure to give it a little thumbs up. That does help other people to find this video and my channel. And if you want to see more of this type of content from me, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.